Welcome to my channel. Today we're just doing a draw along with me. I drew some characters from the series Delicious in Dungeon. I decided to draw chibis because I thought that they'd be really cute. So I'm just doing the line art for Fallon. This is her chimera form, which is apparently 36 feet tall or 11 meters. This was the funnest chibi to draw though, because I have never really taken the time to draw chimeras, usually because they're a bit too challenging, but I had fun drawing her. It was kind of like drawing like a large chicken in a way, but I thought that she turned out really cute. Fallon is also one of those characters who like have their eyes closed most of the time, which I've always loved those characters, especially when something like serious is going on. Whenever they like first open their eyes, they always look so pretty and so cool. I am now starting the line art for Marcel. Marcel was honestly one of those characters that was the hardest for me to draw. If you can't tell, all the little smudged erase lines, because I had to try to get her eyes right several times, and I feel like I still didn't in the end, but we've all had characters and times where we draw like that. She does have like a bow in the back of her hair, and I wasn't quite sure how to add it, especially since I was like running into space room at the top of the page, but I think if I added like a little bow at the top of her hair, that would look really cute. She is also like such a fun character in the series. I think one of my favorite episodes with her is probably when she fights the Undine. I just love the different spells that she does and how her little staff has like a little plant growing out of it, which I think is super cute. I did also struggle with like Chibi's hands, you know, because it's like you can make them more stylized so that you don't have to add in all 5 fingers. I know like a lot of series do that. In fact, some series like the Powerpuff Girls, they just have like a nub, like there's like no fingers on it at all. And I did also struggle with like toes for this. For some reason, chibi toes, I just don't know how to do those. I probably should have looked at like more of a reference for the feet. But since they are more stylized in chibis, it's kind of hard to find like a specific reference that I need. This is Senshi. He is a dwarf character who does the cooking in the show. They originally like meet him in the dungeon when they're about to start their journey, and he cooks all types of different monsters for them. The next character is Chilchuk. He is a half-foot, which are about half the size of tall men or human, and I was unsure of like whether I should draw him even shorter than the other chibis, but I decided to keep the original size of the other chibis. In the series, he's really good at lockpicking and getting through different traps in the dungeon. He also has larger ears, which helps him with his hearing. He can hear like, I think around like 2 times better. And now I'm doing the line art for Laios. Laios is the one who really has a fond love for monsters in the series and is excited about the fact that they're able to cook and eat the monsters. And of course I had to draw Kensuke, which is the little creature in his sword. At certain moments it helps alert him to danger and sense when monsters are nearby. His armor was a bit tricky for me to do since I'm not used to drawing armor, but I did have fun doing like the high shoulders of the armor. I'm now doing the line art for Izutsumi. She's a cat-like character because of a curse that was placed on her, and she originally shows up in the series a little bit later, which I love how they did the ending scene in the credits. They added her to the ending later, which a lot of animes won't do that, so it's kind of like a little bit of like an ending spoiler when you see it, but I thought it was cool how they did that. And then this is Laios' younger sister, Fallon. I suppose this is the form where she has her eyes closed more than her chimera form, but she is kind of just a really kind character, and she helps with like different spells and stuff to keep them safe when they were traversing the dungeon. And I was unsure whether or not I should do her eyelashes colored with like blonde because her hair is blonde, or if I should do them in black because then they would pop more. Then I decided to take a break to recharge a little. Then after the break, it's time for coloring. I always love this part. I enjoy coloring with markers. After the line art, I did a thorough erase of all the pencil underneath because I didn't want any of the marker grabbing that pencil and smudging it under the marker. Or just when you see the pencil lines through the marker, no matter how much marker you put over it, sometimes the underlying pencil can like peek through and it's not the best look, so I made sure that I took the time to erase each and every one. And I'd always recommend, if you are erasing like a big section of the page, here I had to erase the lines for like 4 chibis, that you take a giant eraser and go through it because it'll be much more tedious if you use just the back of your pencil eraser. Chilchuck's hair is what I'm coloring currently. His hair is like very interesting to color because some people make his hair a lot more orange and some people make it more brown. I've seen like different types of coloration with his hair. So I did kind of like a warmer brown, and then a lot of his outfit, he has like brown boots, he has like a brown shirt, brown gloves, so I tried to do like slightly different shades of brown to try to match what it looked like in the show. I'm not sure that I got all the shades of brown correctly, but I did the best with the browns that I have from the Ohuhu marker collection. And then I don't know if other artists experience this with their markers, but I have so many of like the really dark shades, like the blacks, the dark blues, the dark purples, the dark greens, but I am always like constantly running out of the lighter colors. You know, I have like an abundance of like the really pigmented colors. And now I'm still coloring Izitsumi, and I'm using that same dark gray that I used on Chilchuck's pants, because I didn't want to do too dark of a fur color for her skin, because I feel like this dark gray works well as a black instead of making it like a jet black. I always thought that Izitsumi had like really pretty eyes in the thing, where she has the yellow eyes, and in the series her eyes are a bit more cat-like. I didn't really quite capture that well. Maybe I should have done them more like a cat's pupil, where they're a little bit more straight. I made them a bit more of a rounded pupil. And these markers did bleed through onto the back of this paper, but as long as you like plan out that you know that it's going to bleed through, then it's fine. But it's also, I don't know if it's necessarily like the marker's fault. I think you can buy sketchbook brands that will be less likely to bleed through. This is just like a cheap sketchbook from CVS, so I don't really care if it bleeds through to the other side. But if I did have art on the other side, I would be more careful. I did give her a really big red scarf, which she has in the series, but on her chibi form, it kind of became really big on her. Same with Chilchuck, they both have like really big scarves in chibi form. I was wondering if there is a way to probably draw the scarf shorter, but I kind of like that oversized effect that it gives them. I think it looks cute on the chibis. And now I'm just coloring Fallon. It was interesting to try to find like the right yellow color for both her and Laios' hair. I think I gave her more of like a warmer yellow, and then I think I gave him kind of like a greenish yellow. It's always interesting to try to like color match things to this series, because during the episodes there'll be different lighting and things. like one of the characters that I know to be like notorious for like, is her hair brown or is it a kind of a light, like a greenish brown, is like Maka from Soul Eater. It's, or is it like a light brown? People debate her hair color often, I feel. And as you can see, I did blonde for her eyelashes here, but I might go back and make it black. I'm just like undecided on it, you know? Because like if you do make it back, it's black, it's a lot harder to get it back to the blonde again. That's why I'm like hesitating on whether or not I should do it. And then in her staff, she tends to have like a little bit of like a glowing fire in the middle, but I didn't decide to do that. And I wonder like if I should, because it would look really cool if I could get that effect on it. And now I'm going back to coloring Laios. As you can see, I used more of like a greenish yellow on him. Hers is a little bit more warm. He was interesting to color because he is wearing like a full suit of armor, so it's just a lot of grays. And I have, as I said before, like a lot of dark grays that are almost black, but his armor is more of like a silver gray, and I don't have a lot of those. Like most of my grays markers have been like overused, so they're like barely hanging on. So I tried to get his less spotty, you know? The old markers, they get kind of spotty when you try to use them. But I think there are some spots that I would probably go over if I were to do him again. And then for the creature in his sword, I believe I colored the little eyeball stem gray. I'm not sure if the creature is actually gray, but I couldn't find any references online of the creature. I think I'd have to go back into the series, and I didn't want to pull it up just to figure out where it was. So we're gonna go with that its little eyeball stems are gray, because I think it works that way. So, and then I am just filling in the rest of his armor, and I gave him brown boots. And then I did the sword, the metal part, like a lighter gray than the rest of the gray, because I didn't want it to completely blend in with the suit of armor. And now I am starting the coloring process for Fallon in her chimera form. This part was really fun to do, because I feel like just, you know, coloring the vibrant red is always fun to pull out. And this is the lower half of her more dragonic form, and it was really fun to do like the little toe beans, you know, because I don't often draw dragon toes, you know, I don't draw toes very often, in fact. And then her hair was easy to figure out the color because I already did color her other form, so I had that color already picked out. I think it is harder with traditional media to choose colors for characters because you don't have like that full color wheel at your availability. But it is kind of fun to go through individually with colors inside, like, oh, was this the right color for her hair, or is it more this or that? I think that's something that's like fun and relaxing about traditional art. And then I am always intimidated when it comes to feathers or fur and stuff, especially when it's like white fur, because white fur is never white. Like it has other colors in it, like grays and shadows and stuff. So I think I went back and added some gray to her feathers after, but I think I took a break from her because I was worried about it, and so then I immediately went to Senshi and did his beard, which was super fun to do because it's like one of my favorite things about his character in his series is just his ridiculously large beard. And I only went over it once, which kind of gave that like more of like a ombre effect in the middle where it's lighter and the edges are darker. I'm not sure if I actually like that, like if I should go over it to make it more of all the same color. That is kind of one of my habits in art, that I really love things to be like the exact same shade, which doesn't help necessarily if you want to make depth, because then you need to add those shadows in the highlight, and then once you do that, it makes it a lot more flat, not flat. It gives it depth. And I think when coloring him, his helmet is also like one of my favorite things, how it has the little, right above his eye you can see that little chip that it has in it, the circular one. I also like the yellow horns that he has on his armor. I feel like the yellow of the horns also kind of match the yellow of Balin's hair and Laios's hair. It kind of ties the page together a little bit. And then his toes are not great toes. I definitely would redo them if I had the chance. Same with Marcel, her toes aren't that good either. But it's nothing that like a little whiteout can't fix, so if it's bothering me later, I'll go back and do that. And then I'm just finishing coloring her hair in. A lot of people draw her with like slightly different hairstyles from the series, which I think is fun because there are many different ways you can braid your hair if you have really long hair like she does. But she doesn't have any bangs, and that was a little hard for me to draw in chibi forms. I think I'm just so used to drawing bangs with like anime characters that it's like how do you even find references of anime characters without bangs? It's just such a popular thing for them to have. Now I'm coloring the rest of her dress in with a dark blue or navy, and I'm doing the little red hair ties that she has. I guess they're not hair ties, more like ribbons. And then the little brown book that she has on her side, and coloring in the staff. I still am unsure if I quite like how I did her eyes in this. Her eyes take up a big part of her space on this, but I've already erased her eyes so many times that I think that they're okay in the end. And now I'm going back in to color in each character's skin. I sometimes like to wait to the end to color in the skin because I feel like it's important to try to get it right for each character, and so it can take some time to pick it all out. I do like these skin tone brush markers. They do tend to look a little bit more pink as you put them on, but then I find as they dry a little bit less pink, which is good. Some markers, the skin tone markers that you get, when you put them on, it's such a strange thing because they'll look gray as they go on, but then as they dry, they stop looking gray. Now I'm continuing on drawing Chilchuck's skin. For the chibis in this, I didn't go like super detailed on them with like the shading and the highlights, which I usually do when I do my bigger drawings. I try to put some good shading and highlights in there so it gives them more depth. So they do have like a little bit more of a flat look. So I'm not sure if I'd go back in and I'd add that, because sometimes when you do too many details with chibis, it can get a little muddled looking or overworked looking, which I have a tendency to do that with my art. It'll be at a stage where I really love it, and then I'll overwork it and I won't even want to look at it anymore. And now I'm just continuing drawing Marcel. And I don't know if it was just me when watching the series, but I feel like at certain points in the series she was just too bright, like there was just too much light on her. So I felt like I needed to turn my brightness down on my TV, but I don't even think that there is a way to do that. And I have been watching a lot of series with elves in it recently, and the three elves that I've been watching recently is Marcel, obviously in this one, and then Frieren, and then Deedlit, and they all have like the really long pointed ears, which it almost made me forget that elves can have like almost human-like ears with just like a small point to it. They don't have to be going out, more like horizontally. But yeah, it's always interesting when drawing elf characters that have their ears going out horizontally, because you have to, when you're drawing them, you have to give them space for their ears too. I am notorious for like drawing a character and then like their part of them can't fit on the page and then you have to erase and rescale it down. I hate doing that, but sometimes it's necessary. And now I'm just coloring the dwarf's skin in, and I am coloring in Fallon's skin. Some people draw her chimera form with more like red hands at the end, which I think are kind of fun. And just finishing up, thank you so much for watching this video, especially if you've gotten this far. Feel free to tell me what character I should draw next from the series, and there may be a part 2 to this, so stay tuned.